We've been having a lot of meaningful dialogue about what it means to be Black in America. Earlier this week, a group of Black male leaders from across the business talked about some of the racism they've experienced through their lifetimes, but they also expressed optimism that the world is changing and we're banding together to fight racism to create a better world for our children. Personally, I was energized by this since I have three stepkids and an almost 6-month-old son. And this next generation will take the necessary steps to ensure equality and inclusion for all. Let's hear from consumer sales leader Krista Bourne and her daughter Jada about what's next.
As I think about the conversations that we've started to have at Verizon and I watch the memorial services for Mr. George Floyd, I certainly start thinking about the bigger, broader topic, bigger than just Black America, but racism in total. And I think about the conversations we have in our household and how those lead to dialogues that are insightful and informative, but often get us back to a conversation around education and action. So I'm very excited to have my daughter with me, Jada, and I'd love to have an opportunity to share with you some of her thoughts on education and action. So Jada, why don't you start by just introducing yourself?
So first of all, I am your daughter, which I'm so honored to be, but I am also a student at Howard University. I study strategic legal management, communication, and political science.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about Howard. Why did you choose Howard?
Well, most importantly, my brother went to Howard, and that was such an inspiration to me. He would come home and tell me all of these stories about Black history and how authentic Howard was. And so going to predominantly white schools where I was one of few Black girls, I wanted to go to a school that allowed me to learn about myself, but also where I could have an authentic Black experience and learn about myself in a very authentic way.
Yeah, I think that that's a very important point. And I remember when your brother, Duran is his name, he chose to go to Howard, and we were very excited that he made that decision. I did not have the opportunity to go to college. My husband went to college, and certainly we have an expectation that our children go. So the fact that our son graduated in 2017 and was able to pass that experience on to our daughter has been more than satisfying. It has been very, very fulfilling to watch. So something else that I have watched Jada over the years do is really evolve into her interests. And one of the things that she has picked up has been debate. And this was very different for me because I did not come from a community where debate was very prevalent. It was something that I was unfamiliar with. So when she started debate, it took a lot of time. It was unsupervised time. It's not a spectator sport, which is really odd for me. So I was a little suspicious, and I was not really sure what she was gaining from this experience. But I have to tell you, I have been so impressed with the skills and that she's learned and the type of opportunities that she's had. So maybe share a little bit with the audience about how you feel about debate and what it's done for you.
The thing I love the most about debate are the communication skills I've gotten. Debate allows you to talk about all different types of topics in a way that is not always accepted in traditional education. So I learned about politics, social activism, and all of these things, and I got to explore them from my own social location, which was a conversation the debate space wasn't always ready for. Again, I was still one of few Black girls in the space, so having those conversations and learning how to have them well and communicate my point and make an influence in that space was really important to me.
Yeah, so something that you just mentioned is that it wasn't quite ready for you and didn't have a lot of people that looked like you. So how do you then give back to that space? How do you help change that?
One of the things I noticed as I became a senior in debate was a lot of the young girls and young girls of color would look up to me. They would come to me at tournaments, ask me for coaching and mentorship. So I decided to join a nonprofit that focuses specifically on this. They focus on giving back and giving debate education to students of color, low-income students, and students of gender minorities. And that was the perfect way for me to give back, to stay involved in the community, and also not just be an inspiration to one of the few, but teach people behind me who look like me how to give back and how to use their voice powerfully.
I love it. Makes me so excited. I'm so proud to be your mom because of that way of thinking. I also think about other things that you can do to give back. And as a young person, you've had a lot of ideas about how we can give back to not just causes we care about like debate, but social causes, things that impact our entire community and society at large. So maybe share with the audience a little bit about how young people might think about getting involved.
So the first thing that's incredibly important is recognizing your privilege, whether that be in race or gender or class, recognizing the advantages that you have in society, make you a more well-rounded person, and they allow you more open to be educated on other people's experiences. The second thing that's really important to do is take your privilege and vote. That is the biggest thing that you can do. From school board elections to your local elections to presidential and federal elections, those are the ways that we influence change, and the ability to vote is incredibly powerful. And it allows you to get your message across and also be able to educate people in their community and bring people out of certain situations.
So, wow, there's opportunity. And where there's opportunity, there's hope. So I am hopeful that we can make the positive changes that are necessary in the time that we're in. And I'm hopeful because we have young people and young minds like yourself, Jada, that will help guide us through that journey. Are you hopeful?
I think I am. I think something about this movement and the time that we're in right now that's really inspiring is that it doesn't discriminate on your age or your race or your class. It's a movement for everyone. We're all trying to make the world a better place. We're all trying to invoke change. And so long as you have an open mind, we have the ability to make it.
And you heard it here, folks. She said it. If we have an open mind, we have the ability to make it. And I am very hopeful because of those two things. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope that this was helpful for all of you.
I'm hopeful too. Jada seems poised to be the next Yara Shahidi or John Lewis or Michelle Obama. And there are millions like her in this next generation that are taking the steps to make a difference. Soon, we will be launching a series called Next 20, and we will hear from other young voices that are leading the way. Our Pride Month discussions continue with our Build series, bringing together a panel of LGBTQ public policy leaders. On the heels of a monumental U.S. Supreme Court ruling, Build's own Monet Exchange hosted an engaging conversation addressing ways we can all advocate change.
I quickly realized that there's a lot to do to ensure that all of us have the rights to be who we are. And that's why I'm passionate about working for a global organization to help accelerate the pace of change, because we all know there's a lot of resistance to change. And if we work in solidarity, we can make that change happen faster all over the globe.
You can catch the entire conversation at buildseries.com.
A major cell phone company joining forces with an area restaurant to give back to our frontline workers today.
Finally, Verizon is expanding our Food for Frontline Workers initiative to doctors, nurses, and medical staff working in El Paso, Texas, and Chula Vista, California. Local restaurants will each provide 100 meals per day for 1 week to medical staff.
Crave and Verizon Wireless expanding their initiative to show appreciation for the hardworking folks providing care to our community during this pandemic.
Just a simple way to show our appreciation. From meaningful conversations, pushing for equality, and helping on the front lines, these are just a few ways that we're moving forward together for us and our next generation. Isn't that right, Jed? Until next time, you're up to speed.